Gonna talk clutter. Clutter in my house, clutter in my schedule, clutter in my mind. Help me, I'm cluttered.
We have this little area right in our kitchen where all the mail goes, or the magazines, or the things we don't know what to do with. There are wrenches in there. There is the headphones that my kids use when they're mowing. Everything that we don't know what to do goes there.
In the junk drawer.
And it just gets higher and higher and higher. It's not even a drawer. It's a junk area. It's starting to take over a whole wall.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not good at it. You guys help me with
you
this.
You need some of those plastic 3-drawer thingamabobbers.
There's no room though. Well, maybe it's better to put it in 3 drawers. I don't know.
I want to tell you guys, because this has been a friend of mine recommended this book, and it really is helping me, because I tend to be more of people say they're cleanies and messies, or needies and messies, or whatever personality. I don't know that. Anyway, I haven't either. Anyway,
I'm a disastery.
I want to be a cleanie.
I'm a messy, but anyway, I'm reading this book called Atomic Habits. Listen to this quote.
I'm going to write this down.
Atomic Habits, okay? Listen to this quote. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy.
Oh, that hurt my toes.
I
got open-toed
right?
shoes on. Wow.
Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. So I was thinking about this, because the tendency in my house, at least, we have this bar area, and the tendency is to come in the door and set everything on the bar.
Yes.
And so then when you want to eat, there's all this junk on the bar, right?
Yeah.
And so through this process of reading this book, and he's just got some little tips and tricks that are really good, but he says get in a pattern of doing something. So when I go in from work, I will now place my bag by the door instead of putting it on the bar there, and it not only clears space on the bar, but it's right by the door where I need it to be when I get ready to leave for work the next morning. Right. It's just become like a habit. Like I don't even think about it now. I just set it there, because that's where it goes. And so he talks about there's all sorts of tips and tricks, and if you want to go check out the book, we'll put it in the show notes for you. But it's been really good in helping me realize that the bad habits that I think, oh, this is not going to matter, I'm too tired to walk 2 feet and put this where it goes, really creates more stress in my life. And his premise is that if everything has a place, it actually creates more space and more time for you, and it makes time your ally. So it's just, that's been transformational for me, really.
One of the things, speaking of like the mail, where the mail gets, I have a habit now of walking past my recycling bin as I come from the mailbox into my house. And so I will look through the mail and go ahead and throw it away. I know, like, my husband is a nurse, and he gets all these stuff from nurses about whatever. Yeah. And he has said, throw it all away. I don't want to look at any of it. Throw it all away. So I have his permission to throw away all of his mail that that meets his criteria of willing to throw away. And so you only touch it once. Yeah. You're not touching it 4 times, which, that J. Crew catalog that I get, I always touch 14 times because I'm
right. Me too. I think I
need to just throw it away.
I might order it.
Yeah. Look at your items as you get them out of the mailbox. Am I actually going to look at this? If not, throw it right in the trash can. I mean, the recycling bin. Recycle it.
That's right.
That's a good habit.
Yeah, it is a good habit.
Yeah.
And it really does. I mean, there is something to be said for when you are, I don't appreciate a clean house until I'm really exhausted and I come home from something and I don't have to look at all the mess, and I can just sit down and actually relax. Because you're right. We talked about this when there's stuff and clutter everywhere, you're not really resting. You're thinking about how to get that into its place.
Or at the very least, feeling guilty about it.
Right.
Even if you're not going to do anything about it, you sort of beat yourself up about it, or at least I do.
We were going away for the weekend, and I told my daughter, I was like, your room has to be clean before we leave, because we don't want to come home to a dirt. And so she did that, and she was like, you're right. That made such a difference.
I was doing some research on this personally a few weeks ago, and I found something that they recommend doing, and I've done it a little bit. I can do it more. Maybe this is reminding me to do it more. Like the 5-minute rule, they call it.
Oh, yeah.
Where you just say, okay, I'm not going to spend 2 hours because I don't have 2 hours, but I have 5 minutes. And so you go through a room and you put the clock on for 5 minutes, and you take the things that are out of place and you put them up for 5 minutes. And I can do that. I can fit that in between the tennis lessons and the band thing.
Yeah.
I can go do that for 5 minutes. But I don't have the 2 hours. But if I can spend that 5 minutes, it makes a difference if you do it enough.
And you feel like you're making progress.
Yes.
I think that probably is another trigger in our brain. And the guy in Atomic Habits talked about that too, that's kind of a trigger in your brain when you make progress and when you see movement and you see improvement. Then
it
you're more
inspires
motivated.
you.
Yeah.
For me, one of the greatest solutions have been all of these great clear tubs.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
in cleaning my bedroom, one of the things I found is that I have, no lie, at least 250 pins in my house. First of all, who needs 250 pins?
Carol
But
raises her hand.
Why do I have them in 14,000 different places?
Because you never know when you might be under your bed and need to note something down.
That's right.
We're learning something about Carol right now.
That's right. Well,
And about
Wait.
Kelly.
No, I have to ask a question.
Pin
Are they
order.
good pins?
Yeah,
Because
that's
if they're
true.
just 250 random pins,
Yeah, those
you can have
cheapo
them.
things.
I threw away a whole lot of random pins. Yeah, like hotel pins.
Okay,
like
don't
the
throw away
ones-
good ones. Bring them to me.
Yeah, I won't throw them away, I promise. But I did put them all in a clear box.
Yeah.
So I can now see that I have pins in a clear shoebox. Did the same thing with the crayons because, my kid's now almost 15 and he doesn't need crayons anymore. But I have a complete shoebox full of crayons.
Well, what are you
Same
going to
thing
do
with
with them?
markers. Well,
Hold
I'm
them for your
probably-
grandkids?
No, I'm not going to do
You
it that
could do
long,
that.
but-
What's that 70s craft where you melted them on a bottle? You remember that?
I do remember the melted
do that.
crayons. Yes.
Good. Yeah, I could also
Artwork.
just save them with a coloring book for like the random kid that shows up at my house.
yeah,
that
that's
needs
good.
to have something to do. We have a Lego box for that. Now we have a crayon box for that.
You must
but
have
all the
room,
crayons
though.
are in the place.
But you must have room.
well, I have
Have you created
not really.
room? Because
Well,
I'm
because I've
trying to
gotten
think.
all my stuff in one place.
Okay. All right. That's
So
the key.
Without it being, if it's organized, it takes up less space.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So you put it in boxes and you get the right sized box because if you get a gigantic box to put your crayons in, then you got a whole lot of dead space. But
Does anybody else do this though? I did this with my pantry. I was so sick and tired of stuff just being stuffed in the pantry because I didn't know what we had. And
Hello,
then I would go to the grocery
Tupperware.
store and
Yeah.
think, oh, I need Bisquick. And then I would come home and there'd be 3 things of Bisquick that I didn't know anything. Oh, it drove me crazy. So I pulled everything out of the pantry and I was like, we're starting over here. And like an hour into the process, I was like, what the heck have I done? Because there was a mess everywhere. I did eventually finish. It did take me quite an afternoon, though. It was like a whole Saturday afternoon I spent doing that.
But didn't you
I-
feel better when you were done
and
with
nobody
it?
sees my pantry but me and my kid.
Right.
But
But
I
it
was
makes you
like-
feel better.
It's like every time I open the door, I hear angels sing.
Well, you feel good
right.
about yourself.
Yes,
My husband does
totally
that.
worth it.
I'll
Yeah.
ask him to clean up the garage, and he'll find himself locked in one thing, and he will discombobulate everything and we'll never get to the garage.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful. Start wherever is most meaningful to you, right?
Right, yeah.
Just dig in, start anywhere is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
Because that's important.
Yes, whether
It
you
is.
have 5 minutes to do it like Tricia said,
Yeah.
or whether you have a whole afternoon to do it like Carol said, just start somewhere
Start
and
somewhere.
do it.
Yeah, because it's going to lower your stress levels. Might even help with your blood pressure. I don't know. And it might just make you more pleasant because you won't be so stressed out about all the stuff
Yeah,
that
'cause
you got.
get better
Clutter
rest.
makes me cranky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get better rest.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's good for us all.